friend of mine messaged me, I think a week ago, and one of the questions she asked me was, how do I go about living life intentionally? I really sat and thought about the best way I could answer that question without it being overly positive or motivational, but something real, something actionable, or it's something I wanted to share and have a conversation about. First thing that came to mind was the word introspection. If I get a definition. Psychological process that involves looking inward to examine one's own thoughts, emotions, judgments, and perceptions. It requires me to look within, to think about the conversations that I've had with myself, with God, with my journal, and to truly evaluate my patterns, my habits, the way I go about my day-to-day life. The way I have an awareness of what it is that I'm called to do, but yet I either delay. I scroll on social media for hours on end and avoid confronting the uncomfortable part of stepping into the version of you that holds yourself accountable. The same way you honor your word to your friends and your family. Are you intentional in honoring your words to yourself? And sometimes being introspective is not even sometimes, all the time. Being introspective is extremely hard because who wants to sit down and make an internal audit of the ways you could do better, the shortcomings, the aspects of yourself that need improvement? Who really wants to sit down and be honest about the ways in which you may not be going about things in the correct way? I realized that too much of my time was spent making other people happy, instead of truly making myself happy and proud. I would begin my days without structure, without routine. At the end of the day, at the end of the week, it will continue to be a cycle of not making any type of progress towards my goals, towards becoming her, becoming my ultimate self, becoming someone who honors her words to herself on a daily basis. Doesn't mean that just because I've ticked off 101 things off my list within a day that I am intentional. It's not about that. Being intentional isn't about how productive you are. Being intentional is about constantly assessing, reassessing what it is that makes you you. What the values that you possess, the way that you feel, the way that you go about different situations, in different emotions, in different weathers, in different climates, the different environments that you're surrounded in. That's what it means to be intentional. It's, can I wake up every day knowing that I'm contributing and I'm spending time truly understanding myself? It's very imperative to be honest with yourself, to take time for yourself, and to set aside time to truly break down the intricacies that are and that make you you. And that's why when my friend sent me a message, I literally had to stop everything that I was doing and just write something down. So much more easier for me to articulate my thoughts in written form than it is for me to say them out loud. An internal audit for me is writing down all the ways in which you fall short. That could be your diplomacy, your inability to emotionally detach from people that you know that don't deserve your love, your energy, and your time, yet you still seek to comfort them and give them your all, give them every last bit of your time. That is something that you need to evaluate, because going forward, you can't be someone that people continue to walk all over. And you can't continue to be someone, for example, impatient. There's a level of patience that you have to have, especially with someone who needs that level of empathy and support. Patience is so imperative. But I think people will constantly have this idea in their head that they're perfect, that there's nothing that they need to work on, that they do not have flaws, things about them that could be worked on. When I did my internal audit, it was about me being able to emotionally detach. It was my impatience. Because I'm not properly addressing how I feel, it causes me to be very uncomfortable in over-explaining myself. Then when you don't take time to assess yourself, that comes in a form of you being unkind, of you not fully articulating yourself to the ones that you love, and then it end up causing harm and irreparable damage because you haven't taken the time to sit down and assess your patterns, your habits, and your behaviors. It also comes in a form of what you do when you feel different emotions. For example, when you're happy, is that a particular point in time where you are completing everything that you set out to do, your goals? You're going to the gym more regularly, you're eating healthy, but the moment you feel sad or you're triggered, you spend hours on end scrolling on social media, you contact someone that you shouldn't be in communication with because they provide you with that immediate comfort. Or if you feel angry, it becomes you against the world. you feel the need to fight. Whereas when you are trying to be intentional, you are creating structures that support every emotion that you could possibly feel. To get myself back to feeling centered, to feeling happy, exercise is number one for me. I stretch or I journal. If I do not write down immediately how I feel, I will spend the rest of the day being a nervous wreck, being anxious, being upset, and not taking the time to kind of write it down. Journaling has helped me so much with getting everything that's in the inside out without taking it out on somebody else. Taking the time, creating a space in which I feel comfortable enough to be the rawest version of myself, the most authentic version of myself on paper. And that's why I would encourage anyone, if you are going about a journey to live more intentionally, get yourself a journal. Every single year, I buy myself a new journal to journal exactly how I'm feeling in that particular moment. I'm trying to get better at not only writing in this journal when I feel extremely sad, but also writing when I feel happy too. It's good to have a collection of thoughts and feelings. And also when you do an internal audit, you need to also think about, what do you feel called to do? Do you feel called to build a safe space for your community? Do you feel called to write, to sing, to share your skills with others? Another question you could ask yourself is, what am I currently doing that I should stop? And what do I know I should do, but I keep on delaying? Envision yourself, your ultimate self, the same way you envision your ideal partner. And I don't know if you have a list, I have a list too, of who I envision my partner, my life partner, my love to be. His personality, the topics he likes, his hobbies. But do that exact same thing for you. What does your personality look like? How does your ultimate self enter a room? How does your ultimate self structure their day? Do they wake up early, exercise regularly? What are their hobbies, their likes, their dislikes? What are the topics that they are knowledgeable in? I don't know if it's the old Caribbean granny within me, but people don't know enough about things that they're interested in, enough to the point where they're able to have a conversation. And I think it's so imperative to take time to study, to be a student, to learn something that you can share with others. Once you do get to a point where you've done your internal audit and you've established exactly what your patterns, your habits, your calling, your purpose is, as well as who your ultimate self looks like, talks like, use that self-assessment to begin making that ultimate self yourself in your current reality, and not just in your dreams or what you've written down. Take that ultimate self from your notes to your real life.